Hey YouTube, what's up? Dr. T here from St. Petersburg, Florida. So here we have part one of the three-part interview with SPACEX's first internal engineer just posted. And now we'll move on to part two.
Well, when I interned, there was like 15 people. When I came back, there was 615 people.
How did that happen? 600 from 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, it was amazing. They moved from the small little building in El Segundo to this massive factory in Hawthorne.
Okay.
And I started working on Dragon, the capsule.
The Dragon is the capsule that Falcon launches.
Exactly.
So Falcon's the rocket that propels Dragon, which is what actually connects to the space station.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Dragon's the capsule that takes cargo to and from the space station.
And so you were on the Dragon team, as I understand.
Yeah. So I was
the Falcon team and a Dragon team?
Yeah, exactly. So I was the first manufacturing engineer in the structures team.
Huh.
So that was basically just getting it done. The design was just wrapping up and they needed to get the parts made.
Wow.
So my first task was just get these parts made on schedule. And
was it just extremely demanding? Was it kind of laid back? What was the atmosphere?
It was extremely demanding.
Well, you'd think the margin for error was pretty small.
Yeah, it was very demanding, but it was so fun. I didn't, working like a machine there, but it's just...
So the expectations are extremely...
I mean, for me, this is something I really dreamed of doing. I mean, I was working on getting parts made. I was going to Cape Canaveral and working there on the capsule in a clean room, going to the launch pad. I mean, these are things that I only dreamed about.
That's extraordinary.
It was like going to space camp.
Wow. I mean, but except that you're actually making history.
Yeah, and I was getting paid.
Wow.
It was just unreal.
Was there some sense of rivalry between the different teams, or was there sort of a really unified sense of we're doing something together?
100% just doing something together.
Did you have a sense, and did the others seem to have a sense of this being a historical thing you were working on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone for sure felt that it's an epic thing to be working on.
I imagine. So tell me about the culture. I mean, what is the environment like? What are the people like? Because it's known for recruiting a very elite caliber of person.
It's an incredible place to work. There's a great sense of connectedness between everyone. Everyone's got the same goal in mind. Everyone's working super hard to deliver a product successfully. It's amazing when it all culminates in launch day and you actually watch something that you've poured months and months of hard work into actually work. So it's just an unbelievable vibe. Everyone works really hard. There's a really high quality of people there. Everyone is motivated and ambitious and energetic, and it's awesome.
When you first came back, what was the first milestone? Like, had they done rocket launches before you came back? Were they starting to launch?
Did a couple of Falcon launches, but never launched a Dragon before.
Okay, so you were there for the first Dragon launch?
Yeah, and I was actually there for the first Falcon 9 launch. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So they launched Falcon 1.
But the first one, there were a couple of failures, right?
Yeah.
And then a successful one.
Yeah, there was a couple of Falcon 1 launches, so just the baby rocket.
Were you there for the
I got there just in time for the first Falcon 9 launch.
The first successful one?
Yeah.
Okay, but you were not there for the first failed ones.
No.
That must have been traumatic. I can only imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, but what's interesting is I when I started working there, I thought that the more you launch, the easier it would get.
I would assume that.
And it's actually kind of, at least for me, it was the opposite. Because in the beginning you kind of think, well, this thing's so complex, it's odds are it might blow up, or it wouldn't be that unbelievable if it blew up. So then when it does, it's obviously crushing, but you think, oh well, it was a really hard thing that we're trying to do, and then it's successful, and you've proven, the technology works, the engineering is sound, it's doable, and now it's just on well, can you do it repeatedly?
Right.
Was there anything that you missed? Is it like a robust design? So I actually found that every subsequent launch, maybe especially because I worked in production, which was responsible for taking the engineering and making sure that you could build it repeatedly and without any errors and all of that.
And then it was reusable? Was that a part of your advice?
Towards the end of my career, reusability became a thing.
Okay.
But yeah, in the beginning we weren't
just get it up there.
Yeah.
So you were there for the first successful launch.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like when that happened? I mean, because in theory, it's going to work. You think it's going to work, but I mean, theory and practice.
Yeah, I mean, just an unbelievable sigh of relief and great party. SpaceX definitely throws some good parties.
I'll bet. Yeah,
especially
the first successful
I think especially
launch.
back in early days when it's a smaller crowd and we go to some of the parties and see Elon, see Gwyn, see a lot of that.
So at this point, do you still have access to Elon? I mean, you were used to being in the same 15-person office. Now at 600 people, I imagine there's a lot more hierarchy.
Not so much hierarchy. I mean, I guess there were more levels. I never really felt as though that got in the way of going to talk to him. He's got an open plan office and anyone can really just go talk to him. But I mean, he's obviously more like a bigger deal now than back in the day. Yeah, I never really felt too much as though I couldn't go chat to him. So I went and spoke freely to him a few times.
So at some point you moved from the production team to the design analysis team. What's the difference, and what happened when you moved into this new?
The production team, the manufacturing engineering team, which is the team that I worked in, is responsible for taking all the engineering designs and then making sure that the parts get fabricated properly and assembled properly and integrated properly and all of that. And then the engineering design and analysis team, those are the ones that are, designing the new parts and then handing them off to the production team
so it's a little more
to fabricate.
Creative in the design and analysis team.
For sure. So really the design wasn't changing that much in the beginning while I was working on it, and then towards the end there was a real kick for reusability. And that drove some redesigns that were required.
So there was a point at which that became a bigger emphasis than it had been previously?
Yeah. I mean,
there's always what I've heard from Elon is that what would make economics was like the key to space exploration, and that reusability was key to the economics working.
Yeah, so it was designed to be reusable from the beginning, except there's some aspects of it that didn't fully get all the attention they deserve because it was just a rush to get it up into space.
It's a big enough challenge just to get it up.
Yeah, so the big thing was that it was splashing down in the ocean and the service section was filling up with water. Not the pressurized section, that never filled up with water, but the service section got full of water.
In ocean salt water.
And so there was a push to redesign it so that water would not ingress into the service section.
Oh, okay, the functional.
Yeah, so there was some redesign required, and that was an opportunity for me to go and work on that. So that was the next thing that I ended up working on, figuring out how to close out the holes.
Did they underestimate the level of damage the salt would do, or they just didn't figure that part initially needed to be reusable?
The latter, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Although, personally, I was surprised at the damage that's caused by salt.
So we know salt is destructive, but you'd think a splash, you pull it out. Not the case, at least not for spacecraft.
Yeah.
So when you're working for years and years in this really unique environment, focused on launching, objects, machines into space, you must be thinking about the future of exploration, and you must be talking about that with your colleagues, I would assume. Mm-hmm. Did you have a lot of philosophical discussions with your colleagues, or was it just very practical? Is there a sense of awe, space, like a Carl Sagan-like wonder?
There certainly is. I don't think I ever got too much into the philosophical side of it. If maybe you're referring to like going and populating another planet.
The futurist stuff wasn't constantly?
It very much is for everyone that works there.
Okay.
For me, going and exploring Mars is cool, but
you'd rather just visit.
I wouldn't go there.
Holiday. Yeah. So what's your take on the future of space exploration then? Let's look 10 years out. What's realistically viable?
There's a ton happening. There is so much happening. There's a lot of other companies that are doing exciting stuff. Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, Maston. There's a lot of companies that are doing really cool things.
It seems SpaceX is significantly ahead. Are these guys competitive?
Well, SpaceX is definitely ahead.
It also seems that further ahead gives you an advantage to pull away.
Yeah, I think competition is good. SpaceX is ahead, for sure, in my opinion. But there's a lot of things happening other than reusable reusable spacecraft and getting payloads into orbit, there's this X Prize to get something onto the surface of the moon.
Okay.
Right, like a private.
Is SpaceX involved in competing for that?
Not for competing for it, but I think they might be launching one of the spacecraft from one of the teams.
Okay, so supporting.
Yeah. Enabling them to get there. Yeah.
Right.
So that's going to be exciting to see a lot of these like privately developed spacecraft on the surface of the moon.
Would you see like Virgin and these other companies and Jeff Bezos' company, are they realistically attacking this? I know that they talk like this is going to happen, but I don't hear the breakthroughs from these guys that I keep hearing from SpaceX.
I mean, I think they are doing a lot of cool stuff.
Are they? Okay, I'm just not.
Maybe you don't hear about them at the same rate, but they are.
Okay.
They're doing a lot of cool things.
Yeah, I know there was a little Twitter rivalry between Bezos and Elon.
Yeah, there's
kind of fun.
Pretty big rivalry, which definitely makes things fun.
That's cool. So then 10 years out, what's happening? Are we putting a person on Mars in 10 years? A bigger space station with more people? Or what happens in 10 years?
I can see.
If you like the series, stay tuned for the last episode, which will be coming up shortly.